Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to learn how to make this beautiful stylish gown from start to finish. I have my lining here and also a 3 yard of a chiffon material here. Did I say chiffon? I'm using a very soft material, like a chiffon material. Is very soft. I wish you can feel it. I'm marking randomly the length of the piece I'm cutting out. The length of the piece I'm trying to cut out now is 11.5 inch. Actually I need 10 inch, but I'm adding 1.5 inch, which will be the stitching allowance. So I'm cutting out, and the length of it is the total 3 inch of it, because I don't want my gathers to have some joining allowance. That's why I actually cut the ruffle out. And moving on to the upper part of it, I'm marking coming down by 1 inch, and I connect it. This 1 inch I'm coming down will also be my shoulder line. From this 1 inch I'm marking my bust point measurement, which is 10 inch. I also mark my waist point, which is 16 inch. I'm not going to add any allowance. Not going to add any allowance because I will be attaching it to the lower part of it, which will be the skirt, and I don't want the top part of it to be too long. So I'm now inputting my neckline. The width of my neckline is 4 inch, and for the depth of my front neckline I'm making use of 3.5. From the folds I'm marking half of my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inch. Actually is 7.5 I was supposed to mark, but I mark 8 inch because I'm going to join my sleeves to it. I also slope my shoulder by 1 inch like this. I connect it back to the neckline. I'm also putting ½ inch for the stitching allowance. Starting from the starting line again, I mark 9 inch. Okay, this 9 inch has become my armhole or the chest line. I'm inputting half of my shoulder measurement on this chest line, and I connect it to the shoulder line like this on a straight line. After this, I'm finding the midpoint of this line, placing the tape at this shoulder slope line and at the length of the chest line. I mark the midpoint, and when I get the midpoint like this, I'm going to divide my bust circumference. My bust is 85. So quarter of my bust circumference is what I'm marking here. I'm going to add 3 inch for stitching allowance. Okay, I mark 3 inch for stitching allowance. My waist is 80. Quarter of my waist measurement is what I'm inputting here, plus 3 inch for stitching allowance. So at this midpoint that we mark, I'm now blending it with a curve like this back to the chest line. Okay, from this my shoulder slope line, I'm stepping down by 5 inch, and this 5 inch I'm placing my tape like this in a slanted way to connect it back to the chest line, and I'm also taking ½ inch on both sides. I will blend it to this line that I connected to the chest line. Okay, like this, and I connect it back to the chest line. When we input a dart like this, we are going to have some shortage. So to complement to that shortage, I'm marking 1 inch again at the end of this front piece like this, and blend it to the center front. Okay, and I'm also going to go up like this at this dart by ½ inch. I'm going to go out like this by ½ inch so that we don't have any shortage. Inputting my back neckline now. The depth of my back neckline is 2 inch, and I connect it like this. I'm cutting it out. I'm pinning inward. I'm pinning that half inch we go up at this bust. That I'm pinning it inward, and this 1 inch we mark at the hem, I'm also pinning it inward. Okay, then placing it on another lining. I want to cut my back piece. The back piece I will not have bust that. That's why I'm pinning that point in. We don't need that measurement at the back piece. Okay, so I'm using it as a pattern to get my back piece. Yes. So also leave some space for the zip, and I'm going to make use of 1.5. Remember the skate part of it, we make use of 1.5 for the zip. So I'm also using 1.5. Okay, after which I'm trimming all the allowance inward like this. I'm trimming all the allowance out like this. And after cutting this, I'm going to use this as a pattern to cut on my main piece. Okay, I'm going in at this zip line, at this zipper point. I said I'm using 1.5 inch, but this 1.5 inch also take away 1 inch, and I blend it up to the neckline. The remaining part of it, I'm marking another 1.5 from the edge. I'm marking another 1.5. This is a new zipper allowance. I mark my bust span measurement, my dart point, which is 4. I notch it. Is my dart. I'm marking 4 inch, and I notch it. I'm going to use this as a pattern to cut on my main piece. Okay, and I'm going up by 6 inch. You can make it. Normally I go up by 8 inch. We are going to use 6 inch to stitch. This 8 inch is too much, so I'm going to stitch it down like this. I've already go ahead to use it to cut on our main piece. I've already go ahead to use it to cut on our main piece exactly what we have. You can see the shape of the front. Please, when cutting the front, please unfold this side that we fold in, unfold it and cut the front. Don't make that mistake. Unfold it and cut the front. Okay, all right, so I'm indicating my right and my left side. I want this keyhole to be on the left side, so I'm simply using a free hand to get the shape I want. Oh my god, this chalk is not showing. I have to look for another chalk because I really want you to see what I'm doing. This chalk is not showing. All right, okay, now I'm using a free hand to chalk it out. Look at what I have, and I'm not okay. I'm still going to go back and bring out the shape like this. Yeah, and when I'm okay with it, I'm going to simply cut it off. Okay, yes, I'm only cutting on my main piece. For the lining, I'm going to leave it that way. You are going to see what we'll do later. Moving on to the skate part of it, I simply mark my starting point, which the starting point has also become my waistline. I mark 9 inch, which is the my hip line. The total length for this gown is 38. It's 38 for the length. So for the half length, remember we mark 16, and after stitching we end up having a 15. So for the gathers part, we cut out a long piece of 11.5 inch, and I remember I told you that 1.5 inch is for stitching allowance. That means the original measurement we are going to work with is 10 inch. So 10 plus 15 is 25. So the leftover for 38 is 13 inch. That is the total length for this skirt. Okay, so I mark the hip point, which is 9. I also mark, or you place the tape at the waistline and mark 13 inch. Okay, that is the length for it. Please also add 1 inch for stitching allowance for the skirt. Okay, add 1 inch, because at the lower part we are going to attach, use ½ inch, and also at the waistline we will also use ½ inch. That is exactly what I did. I divide my hip circumference by 4 plus 2 inch for stitching allowance. I also divide my waist circumference by 4 plus 1 inch for that, and 2 inch for stitching allowance. At the hem line, I measure what I have at the hip. I minus only ½ inch away from the measurement. Please do not try to minus more than ½ an inch. Okay, after cutting, I'm going to use this front piece as a pattern to get my back piece. Okay, the only difference between the front and the back will be the zip allowance. And also remember that at the upper part we make use of 1.5 inch for the zip. The allowance we left at the upper part was 1.5, so I'm going to at this skirt part. Okay, so I've also go ahead to label it U and D so that I will not mix it up. U represent up, D represent down. Okay, so I'm simply cutting it out. I cut exactly what I have, but at the center back I'm also going to leave space for the zip. I'm marking now where my zip is going to start, so I'll connect it. It will serve as a guide for me, and after that I'm going to mark 1.5 inch. Okay, I'm going to mark 1.5 inch. That is the space for the zip. Yes, and after marking, you see there is excess, we are going to trim it off. Yes, we need only 1.5 inch. All right guys, so I'll also use it as a pattern to cut on our main piece. As you can see, I've go ahead to stitch down the sides of my skirt, or the sides of the 3-piece. For the back we have 2 pieces, and for the front we have 1 piece. Okay, so I'm marking out the zip space like this, so that it will also guide me while I'm stitching. I'm also going to make sure that the zip side is also on the same zip side. I'm stitching it right side facing each other. This is the front, I'm also going to label it up and down because it almost look like the same. So after that, we are moving on to this gather part. I've aimed the down part of the gathers. For the upper part, we'll stitch around the neckline like this. I said earlier, after stitching your neckline, ensure that you notch it. I'm actually using the front piece to illustrate what I did to the back piece. Now I'm flipping it to the right side now, and I'm kind of pushing the line, the seam allowance. I'm pushing the seam allowance. Make sure that it faces the lining, not the main piece. I'm going to stitch on it. After stitching, this is what we have. Flipping it backward again on the wrong side. If possible, at this point, you can pin it. I'm also going to pin it because I'm really working with a very soft material. I will not stitch up to half an inch. I will stitch very close to the edge, and after stitching, I'm trimming it out. Please ensure that this keyhole, you notch it. Ensure that you notch it so that it will relax when you flip it to the right side. Folding it like this again, I want to make sure that I've marked out my darts. This marking will be at the front of my lining, yeah, not the back. I'm going to mark it at the front of my lining. I'm marking it at the front so that it will help me while sewing. And I'm going to take it to my ironing table and iron it very flat. These are my two back pieces. And for the skirt, this is my front piece and these are my back piece for the skirt side. I also continue to label it so that I will not mix it up. So moving on to the top part of it, this time around I flip it again and I'm stitching it by ½ inch at the side. After that, I top stitch on this armhole side. I'm also going to top stitch at the hem of it so that the lining and the main piece will become one piece. So for this shoulder that has keyhole, we are trying to measure what we have on the other side and place the exact measurement on this part that has the keyhole so that the shoulder will remain the same. You need to be straight with this side that does not have any keyhole. And now moving on, I'm attaching my shoulder. Now I put my front piece in between the main piece and the lining, and I'm going to stitch it down. After stitching, this is what we have. I've also attached all my darts. I close my zip allowance by 1 inch and with a very loose stitch, because I'm still going to loosen that part again. I make it with a very loose stitch. So now moving on to the skate part of it, we are to join the skate by the zip allowance. These are my two back pieces, yeah, so I'm going to join it by the zip allowance. I'm marking 9 inch now, which is the hip point, and I'm going marking something less than 1 inch, and I blend it like this. I'm trying to create a space for the bump. So from there, I'm going to input my dart. The width of my dart is 4 inch. The width of my dart is 4 inch. Okay, I'm going to attach it while the length of my dart for the back is 5 inch. Okay, for the front, the width remain the same with the back, while the length of my dart is 6 inch. Take note. So I'm finding the midpoint. When I get the midpoint, I starting from the midpoint, I mark the width of my dart. That is exactly what I did there. I'm going to attach the upper part to the escape part of it. So I'm going to place it midpoint to midpoint and join the waistline. Ensure that you mark the midpoint of the upper part and the midpoint of the escape so that you get all the point correct. For the zip allowance, since I stitch it down with a loose stitch, I will be able to loosen it, and before I join them, I'm going to go off at this zip side and I cut it. I'll blend it to the dart leg. This is to eliminate any zipper bulge. So after this, we are good to go, but I still see that the side seam of my top is longer than the midpoint or the middle, so I'm going to trim out ½ inch. I'm going to trim it to the center so that it will fit nicely. It's very important you do this so that you not end up having excess at the side seam. I'm going to shape my dress now. I place half of my bust circumference. Whatever I have there, I measure it again. I'm going to fold the tape into two and mark. Then the leftover mark will be on the other side. But for me, I'm going to only shape one side. I will repeat the same process on my waist. For me, I'm going to shape only one side. When I'm done with that, I flip it wrong side facing and tap on it. By so doing, the measurement I've also shown in the other side. So I'm going to simply make it bold for you to see. I'll also repeat the same process on my skate. I've also go ahead to join my skate to the top part of it. I'll also repeat that same measurement that we had at the top of this dress at this skate part. So ensure that it's the same. When you are marking, ensure that it's the same. Now my material is right side facing the right side of my back piece, facing the right side of my front piece. I'm going to stitch following the direction of my chalk, and after that, this is what we have. I'm measuring now the hem of my skate. Whatever I have, I'm going to multiply it by 2 or times it by 2. That is the amount of material I'm going to gather at the down of the skate. So you can simply do that on top of machine, or you run a loose stitch before you attach it. But since I'm working with a very slippery material, I choose to run a loose stitch before I attach it. So moving on to the next step of our gathers, the second step of our gathers, at this waistline, if you check the style very well, you'll notice that the style we are trying to copy from has 2 gathers. So at the waist, I'm coming down by 3 inch. At this joining allowance, I'm also going up by 2 inch. I'm connecting the points together. Guys, please, before you do this, try and pin your zip allowance as if you have stitched it down. Please, it's very important so that you get accurate measurement. Try and pin the back, that zip region, as if you have stitched it down. You are going to know the reason why I say pin it. And after that, I connect the points together. And because I still want to mark the same measurement at my back piece, I'm simply pinning some point so that I will not measure it again at the back. I'm simply pinning the points. So I'm going to flip it to the back side. As you can see, I've pinned my zip region, and following the direction of the pin, I'm marking out that same measurement at the back. That is the reason why I said pin the zip allowance, okay, so that it will be the same. I'm going to connect it like this. The same way I connect the front, I'm going to connect the back as well. So after that, I'm going to remove those pins at the zip region and open my work. After opening the work, I'm also measuring the total length of this chalk line. I'm also measuring the total length of this chalk line. Then whatever I have, I'm going to multiply it by 2. Okay, I will multiply it by 2. That will help me to know the amount of material I'm going to gather at this chalk line, the second step of it. So when I measure my second ruffle, I got what I have plus some inch, and that is fine. I'm going to run a loose stitch. I've taken it to the machine and run a loose stitch, and after running a loose stitch, I pull off my thread like this. I take one string of my thread like this and pull it, or I try to pull it to have this gathers effect. And after that, I'm trying to measure to make sure that I have this exact measurement I have when I was measuring the chalk line. Let it be the same. I'm going to flip it now, right side facing, and stitch on it. You see, and when I stitch it, I flip it to the right side. This is what we have. It's looking beautiful. It's looking beautiful. Moving on to the armhole area. These are boards that we are going to trim off that excess. Okay, I'm still going to go more at this armhole area because the armhole of our front dress supposed to be deeper than that of the back. So moving on to the sleeve now, at the top of, I'm going to draft it face on the lining. At the top of this lining, I've been able to come down by 10 inch, and that is the length of our sleeve. Okay, when we are cutting it on the main piece, we are going to add folding allowance. Yeah. So at the top again, I'm coming down by 4 inch. This 4 inch is my sleeve cap height. So I'm using a freehand method. I'm going to make a slanted S. I'm making a kind of slanted S. If you are not okay with the shape, you can always redo it to get the exact shape you want. So when I'm done with that, I'm going to measure my sleeve. That measurement I have, I'm going to input it. I'm going to measure my sleeve. Starting from the shoulder, I'm going to measure it all around. And whatever I have, that is the same measurement I'm going to input on this round side. I'm going to curve my tape like this and input that same measurement and add my seam allowance. For some of you that are trying to make elastic, in case you are making elastic on this sleeve, please connect the downside like this straight up. But because I'm not going to add elastic on my sleeve, I'm inputting my round sleeve measurement plus stitching allowance. So I connect it this way. If you are making elastic, make the down of this sleeve to be even wider than the up. I hope that makes sense. So I'm using it as a pattern to get the other side of my piece. I've used it as a pattern to cut on my main piece. For the main piece, you can see that I've added up to 2 inch. That is because I want some part to come in. So I'm making sure that the edge align. I stitch the edge by ½ inch. After that, I'm pushing it to the side. I will make sure that the edge align. I will stitch the side seam, and after stitching the side seam, I'm going to top stitch at this armhole side, this side that we are going to attach to our sleeve. I would top stitch on it to ensure that the lining and the main piece is one. So I'm still measuring to confirm that measurement again, because I'm going to chalk it out on my sleeve, exactly that measurement. And before I do that, I've placed my 2 front sleeve right side facing and trim out one side. That one side I'm trimming will serve as my front. It will serve as the front sleeve. So before I attach it, I'm going to place it the way I supposed to join it. Ensure that the side I trim off will face the side of it will face the front. The side I trim out will face the front, and when I'm okay, I'm going to stitch it that way. And guys, look at what we have. It's looking beautiful already. So just go ahead and attach your zip. Try and reduce the voltage of your iron and iron it flat. One more last thing I will do is to weave the seam allowance at the waist. I will weave the seam allowance at the waist and the armhole. That is all for this dress, guys. This is my first time fitting the dress. I still realize that excess at this bust area. To eliminate this excess, I'm going to simply pin my dress. Guys, I told you before, the material I'm working with is very slippery and so light. The material I'm working with is so light that it does not have life in it. That's why I'm still having this excess, but don't worry, I'm going to take it out. So I've done pinning it. I'm going to remove it now. Following the direction of the pin, I will stitch it down. And this stitching, guys, it won't affect my lining. Stitch it in a way that it will not affect the lining. Okay, look at it. It does not affect my lining. So after stitching it like this, I'm going to bend it like this, flip it like this, and top stitch on it. During the process of top stitching, it's going to affect our lining, but don't worry, it will fit nicely than before. And I'm trying to cover up this space so that it will serve as a style. I'm trying to cover it up, so I will attach few buttons to it to cover up this place. So we are trying to create a style there. I'm going to input this button. Let me know in the comment section which button you prefer me to attach to this gown. Already I have 2 buttons, and I think I should be working with this one. After attaching the button, guys, look at what we have. It's looking beautiful already. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please try and subscribe to this channel and turn on your notification bell so that they will get to notify you each time I upload a new video. Share and like my video. Till I see you in my next video. Bye. I love you. Mwah.